when using the soundboard, the first thing we want to do is check that we are on the right scene or saved settings. So we want 001 Sanctuary. It's a good idea to reset the board each time you turn it on to its default settings. We'll go over to the side here, we'll select Scene Memory. We get this option of different scenes. Sanctuary is the first one. We have some other special services, Christmas Eve, Advent, funeral. And we want to recall the sanctuary scene. We do not want to store ever. That overwrites what's here. So on recall. On the side of the board, let's zoom out just a little bit. On the side of the board over here, we've got navigation arrows, so I can move this around to switch to store or recall if it's on the wrong one. Also, we have a scroll wheel to move through different scenes. So we want to make sure it's on sanctuary, that recall is lit up and blinking, and then in the bottom we're going to hit enter and home. And that will bring sliders up to their last saved settings, their last saved levels. Soundboard is organized in sections, so we have the lectern, which is where readers are, pastor lapel mics, handheld wireless mics, mics in the balcony, like wired microphones for singers, choir mics, guitar, piano, and media is for the computer. To turn a microphone on, we just press the button here above on. It will light up when it's active. If it's dark, it's not going to work. And then we can control the levels once it's on by using the sliders up and down. To play audio through the sound system for a video, we have a channel over on the soundboard called Media, where we can do the levels. If for some reason you click on a video and you don't hear it through the sound system, but you might actually hear it through the computer, click up on the top menu bar where it says sound, and you have some choices. If you're not hearing it through the sound system, chances are, for some reason, it will say Mac Mini speakers, and I'll demonstrate what that sounds like. So it's coming through this device, and not the system. Stop the video. I'll go to sound up here, and instead I'm going to choose Radio USB Pro Output, not BenQ. BenQ is for monitor, Radio USB is for audio, which is what we're working with here. Select that, it'll turn blue. Go back to the video. Make sure it's on the soundboard, and you're good to go.
I'm Sandy Hughes, and I'm a lifelong member of Concordia.
And to stop that video, I'm just going to click on either the X here or any blank screen slide will do the trick. For setup on a regular Sunday service, we use lapel microphones, which are stored next to the soundboard, for the pastors and for the children's message. So mic number 1 corresponds here on the board with lapel 1. So this one will go to Pastor Bongard, lapel 2 to Pastor Megers, 3 to Pastor Larson, and we use mic 4 for the children's message. These microphones have an on switch on the top. Flip that on, and you will see a battery level. Should be 100% when you turn it on after it's been put in here. Pastors have their own lapel microphones, but we need to give one for the person using the children's message. So let me get children's message mic. Underneath the far corner of the soundboard table, we've got some containers, and the first couple ones have extra headsets in. And this is what we're going to use for the children's message, or if we had a guest preacher, someone who needed to use a microphone in the service. So we're going to carefully unwind these. They're freakishly expensive, so we need to just handle them with care. And you'll notice it's difficult maybe on the video, but there are some prongs on the inside that need to correspond with the shape of this microphone connector. You will see on the microphone connector there is a small little button on the top, which is what you push to release it. And if you look at the lapel itself, there is an indentation on the top We're gonna fit in straight in, press, it should click in place, and it's connected. When you give this microphone to the children's message person, make sure you have it turned on so they don't forget to have it on. And prior to giving it to them, we should test the mic over at the soundboard to make sure it works. So I'm gonna go to lapel 4. I'm gonna turn it on. Check 1, 2. We have sound. And I'm going to turn it off before I give it to them so we don't get a bunch of noise. Pastors have their own lapels, so they'll take care of that for themselves. After the service, we'll turn these off, press this button to remove. They're a little tight, and return it to the charger. The lapel microphone itself, you don't need to coil it up or anything. Just lay it back inside the drawer, and it's good to go. If we have someone who needs to sing from the balcony or the front of the room, or someone who needs to share a few words but they're not involved in the whole service, we have handheld wireless microphones. Here's hand 2. These microphones turn on with a red button on the bottom, so I'm going to press and hold that button while we look at the display. It'll light up when it's active, and you'll see that it shows how many battery bars it has. This is 2 out of 3, which is fine for a worship service. If it's 1 out of 3, it's probably a good idea to change the battery. Let's go test this mic out at the board. So we go to the soundboard, we find hand 2, we turn it on, we put our finger on the slider to raise it up, and we test it. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there we go. Hand 2 is active. I'm gonna mute it, and then I can give that microphone to whoever is presenting. Again, we can show them how to turn it on if they seem capable, but otherwise just give the microphone to them with it on. When the service is over, you can press this red button again. You'll see it light up. It's gonna ask if you wanna mute. Just keep holding the button down and it will switch to off. If you need to replace a battery in one of these microphones, simply grab the bottom half, twist, pull it open. There's a little holder here, and you can pull out these batteries. They actually go the same direction, which is not typical for batteries. Replace them with the new ones, close that back down, and screw it back on. After the service, the microphone can be returned back into the drawer. Extra batteries are stored at the bottom. We have extra 9-volt batteries, and we have extra AA batteries. If we have a singer in the balcony or an instrumentalist, using wired microphones is ideal because we don't have to worry about battery levels. We have 2 spots for microphones, and there are inputs in the walls here. You'll see starting next to the soundboard here, we have inputs C and D, and as we go along the wall, we'll see we have E, F, G, and H. These microphones are labeled, so this one has a letter D on it. We have another microphone with letter C. You simply take the XLR cable, the microphone cable, loose end, and connect it to the corresponding letter. So microphone D, I'm gonna pop it into D right there, and it's connected. To remove these, they don't pull out. There's a button you have to push on the top, press that in, and then it will release. So we'll leave this in here. Let's go test this microphone out. I'm gonna turn it on the board. Check 1, 2. Microphone is good to go. If we have a choir singing, we're gonna wanna put a microphone on to help let it be heard in the congregation. These microphones are very delicate. You'll see the XLR microphone cable is attached to a very thin wired cable that is connected to this microphone. There's a clip on the side of the stand here that this clips in. It can be kind of loose, so you just have to be careful. The goal is to not pull on either of these cables tight. And I'm going to choose E and plug that in. To position a choir microphone, we're going to loosen this knob right here, and we can bring the stick up higher. I can tighten that. I can bend this to get it in position. Typically a choir mic should go back about 6 feet from the front row, and we want to make it as high as the people in the back row. So about like that. If we've got a larger group up here, we can use more than one microphone for the choir. Microphones for the choir are very prone to feedback, so we have to be careful when raising or lowering the levels. I plugged into choir E in the balcony. I'm going to turn that on. If I start to raise the volume and it gets too high, we get feedback, which no one wants to hear. So we want to keep the volume below that point. And when the choir starts to sing, it will be more prone to getting that feedback. So use caution with these microphones. They don't need to be on loud. The choir can sing and be heard, but it helps fill the space a little better and will provide sound in the lobby. We can go test this out now. I like to test it just by snapping my fingers in front of it. Never tap on a microphone. That is not good for the actual piece inside of it, but I can simply do this and I can hear it's working. Check 1, 2. So that's a choir mic. The range of a choir mic is much bigger than a handheld microphone, which you need to keep near your mouth. Choir mics are meant to capture sound from a very wide area. And you'll hear now that the microphone is on, every little touch I make is going to make noise. So best to have the microphone muted while you are positioning it in front of the choir.